Okay, let's talk about suffering. Suffering is just a process in this human existence that brings change. Whether the suffering will stop or not depends on us, because there is always a lesson the universe wants to teach, right? And as long as we get to an eventful year or timeline by which we elapse all crossroads or avenues that require certain relevant decisions in our lives to be made for the ultimate purpose of which we are here to be fulfilled, the suffering will keep going on until that change is effectively made. See, there is something we call eventful years. Now, eventful years are vital years in our human experience, right? That when major life-changing decisions are not made, it brings forth certain challenges, right? These eventful years can be calculated with a person's date of birth or a reading, a palmistry reading. But when these eventful years are due or your time is up, and a person is still deep in sleep in this human experience, that is when most times major challenges, major obstacles, and major suffering is presented in order to bring change in the person's consciousness. Now, some of these challenges will usually include when nothing is working out for you, you keep trying things, it doesn't work out. Most people will say they have bad luck. Some people will say that they had a bad year, all right? Nothing works, right? Things get tough. Other people's experience will be health complications coming after the other, and it does not stop. Now, throughout history and many historical events, we have seen this happen, right? We have seen many great personalities and leaders go through turmoil, great suffering in order to lean more to their inner self, their inner consciousness of God. Now, mostly this happens to strip away pride, to strip away comfort and the illusion of gathering all the material things one can possess in this human experience. In biblical terms, we've seen it happen countless times to make sure that there is nothing left to lean on but God before the great and ultimate triumph happens, right? Suffering is not punishment. Suffering is preparation, right? Growing up, I read the book of Bible stories. Many people know about this, close to 100 times. Now, in the book, you will see Moses live in the desert for 40 years before he led the Israelites out of Egypt. Now, there is also David conquering his fear in the cave in a fight with a lion before defeating Goliath and mounting the throne of Israel. Now, there is also the story of Gautama Siddhartha, who is Buddha, right? And how much he suffered close to death before awakening or reaching enlightenment. Now, you see, the thing is, pride cannot carry glory and ego cannot contain a great calling. Pride cannot carry glory and ego cannot contain a great calling. Now, you see, when these personality traits are visible in the personality of a person with great purpose, the only way to get rid of these negative traits is for the person to be broken. Now, it is only through this surrender that great power is born. You see, the interesting thing is that I have never met one single great person in my entire life who is both arrogant and proud. Now, in my video, the most toxic app in the world, on the app, most people want to prove they are better than the next person. And it's easy to discern how, with that kind of personality trait, consciousness cannot be poured into such a vessel, right? And so that vessel must be broken in order to attain humility. And that always happens through suffering. Now, confidence and arrogance will only certainly be broken into pieces for realization to happen. Now, humility doesn't come through comfort. It comes through suffering. So if you are going through unending crisis, ask yourself if there is something that you need to learn. If your current personality trait depicts levels of arrogance or even the attitude to feel as though self-dependence is your only option, right? Some people feel untouchable, feeling they are better than others, and most times the universe feels the urge to teach you a little bit of humility, and the more you delay the lesson, the more suffering that a person or you pass through, right? Typically, the person that goes through humbling is the person that God will later raise, right? Suffering builds dependence on God. When everything that makes your ego highly elevated is stripped away, I'm talking about money, reputation, influence, you know what I'm saying? Even strength, right? One quickly comes to the realization that the only foundation that never shakes is God, right? This, discovering almost immediately resets the mind to stop attracting lack, and the lesson here through suffering gradually fades away. All right. So if you're going through something, just know that it is a process to just take away what doesn't belong, to change weakness into strength and fear into faith. Well, we all go through our own level of suffering, but you will agree with me that one of the greatest levels of suffering to achieve true power was the crucifixion, right? So don't be afraid to go through suffering. there is light at the end of that tunnel. The most important lesson is to come to the realization quickly and then move on. Suffering doesn't mean that you are totally finished, but it also means that you are finally ready, to be poured into, to be trusted with great power, because, again, with whom much is given, much is expected. When a person goes through suffering, pride no longer blocks the process of receiving or attracting. And ego no longer contaminates the gift, right? Only in that spirit of surrender can consciousness, the flow of energy, move through you without any form of resistance, right? So if you feel life is breaking you, don't mistake it for rejection. In this part of the world, we say evil spirits is the remote cause, but we do not realize the lesson that must be learned in order to allow ourselves to learn. So that particular suffering keeps repeating itself. Remember, it may be God's preparation. The biggest question here, if you are going through any kind of suffering, is will you keep resisting, or will you allow the universe to remake you? You see, true power doesn't come from what we gain. It comes from what we lose. We lose fear. We lose control. We lose the need to prove anything to anyone. And when you rise from that place of brokenness, you rise different, right? You speak different. You walk different, because now you don't move from ego. You move from a place of purpose. You don't speak to be heard. You speak to heal. You don't chase power. Power flows through you. If life is teaching you through great struggle right now, don't resist. Trust the process. It's okay to let it break you, but do not let it destroy you. Rather, let it humble you. Remember, do not let it silence your light. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us, right? Storms don't come to end you. Storms come to clear your path, right? This is how the universe resets you. This is how the universe resets all of us. This is how God reminds you that you were never alone. If this message found you in your lowest moments, then maybe, just maybe, your breakthrough is just closer than you think. My name is Your Heritage. This was short, but I felt like someone needed to hear this. Like and drop me a comment and a message, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.